So then what are the next steps, certainly from the PGA Tour? Let's take it one step at a time here, Kevin, because during the hearing yesterday, a member of the group that represents 9/11 families dropped a document right in the middle of the two PGA Tour representatives sitting at the table during their testimony. And that document apparently documents how the Saudi Arabians did, in fact, commit the atrocity on Jamal Khashoggi and obviously did have a role in 9/11. And, you know, Jimmy Dunn has a personal history involving with 9/11 where we all know what happened to him and people who he knows and worked with on that day. Where does yesterday leave the PGA Tour, Kevin?
I think it probably leaves the PGA Tour in just kind of having to, it's pardon my phrase, like eat shit. Like they're going to have to sort of over and over just basically be like, yep, like we know that we look like hypocrites on some of this moral stuff because we took a tactic of saying, do you ever have to apologize for being a member of the PGA Tour? And now we're saying we'll work with these people. And there really isn't a good answer. There's never a good answer if you're sort of trying to defend like working with people who commit human rights abuses. There's no way that it's going to sort of like be razzle-dazzled away. And I think, the truth of it is they're just not going to be able to come up with a good explanation other than we were kind of in a position where we had no choice. And so I think what the future of it going forward is that, what one of the things that Jimmy Dunn was sort of pretty adamant about is like, we won't agree to any agreement where the PGA Tour doesn't have control going forward. Well, what does control look like? If you look in, one of my colleagues, Chris Solomon, did some sort of digging in the documents where you can actually go in and see the Microsoft Word track changes to how they were sort of tug-of-warring back and forth with the documents. And one of the main things that they're arguing over is veto power of whether, the PGA Tour will be able to determine the future of LIV and whether, they'll have veto rights to sort of block, certain decisions that, Yasser he's going to be outvoted in this sort of board that they put together, and whether he'll have the sort of veto rights to say no, that's not something we want to move forward with. Right now, all they've agreed upon is that they're going to try to figure that stuff out. But within the negotiations broadly, they have so much stuff to figure out. Veto rights, whether the players who didn't go to LIV will be compensated in some way for their loyalty, how many sort of fall events or team events they could sort of get these guys to be interested in. They didn't even talk about the future of the TGL stuff with, Rory and Tiger have this sort of indoor golf league coming in that the PGA Tour owns a portion of that would be sort of rolled in to the larger aspects of that. Like, can you make Rory and Tiger sort of participate in some, LIV affiliated thing through that? It's all really going to be, I think, intense negotiations, and the clock is sort of through the end of the year. Like, they have to figure this out by December 31st, or we just kind of reset going back to where LIV competes again with their bottomless bucket of money, and the PGA Tour has to figure out whether they can go and get private equity money and sort of try to fight it that way.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.